In this video, we'll create this really cool iPhone heads-up display. I've seen this effect on Instagram Reels and I think it's such a cool effect to master. It's a great way to show a smartphone screen in a video. And if you want the project file or you want to become a better editor, better at sales and get potential clients, then do join my masterclass. The link is in the description down below. You also join this amazing community with advanced editors that are all there to help. Now let's jump into it. So I already have some footage imported. Basically one shot is just me standing there. One shot is basically a screen recording, and this is just a simple screen recording. But of course you can use any screen recording for this. I do advise to have a dark background because that works a bit better. And of course, if you don't have any footage to edit with, then you can always download the assets for free in the description down below. The first thing I'm going to do is track the footage, which basically means that we need to pinpoint our footage to this iPhone, and we can use the built-in tracker in After Effects for that. Now the footage is a bit grainy, so let's see how it's going to perform. We'll just go to Window, Tracker. This tracker pops up, and the one that we're going to use is Track Motion. It will open up the footage. We can drag this now to our iPhone. Hold space to move your canvas, and let's see where we're going to put it. Ideally, you want a high contrast point. So for example, this lamp would have been perfect. Now we don't have that, so we just have to see if there's point like here, maybe the edge of this iPhone will work. Now, depending on the effect that you want, we can use position or rotation or both. Basically, now it will just track the position, so just X and Y motion. But if you also want to track the rotation and include that in your animation, then you have to turn rotation on. I think I'm gonna stick with position now. It will keep it a bit more simple, and let's put it around here on this corner. Now the outside box is the search area. If you keep this really high, it will take longer to basically track your footage. So try to keep it small, not too small, because then it doesn't have any area to search. So I'm just gonna make it maybe a bit in between, something like this. And then next to the analyze, you have a couple buttons. I'm gonna use analyze backwards first to make sure that the beginning is tracked. And as you can see, it didn't track properly. That's because it lost our visual point. And you can see exactly why. There was a lot of contrast here, but then here it lost it. Now, of course, you can manually adjust these points. So you can always select the layer, press U to see your keyframes. And then, for example, remove these last ones. There we go. And then we can manually add the rest, because I think it's gonna track really bad otherwise. And we do that by just holding Command or Control on Windows and then hitting the arrow keys. So arrow key left will move it frame by frame, and arrow key right will move it frame by frame forwards. So let's go one frame back, and then you can do it frame by frame. Or if you're lucky, and let's just try it, we can just go to the beginning and then set a point here. As you can see, it's really hard to see for our eyes too. So it makes sense that After Effects has a big issue with tracking this. Now let's go through it frame by frame. And actually this works great. So we don't have to do the frames in between. Now let's continue to where it's a bit more visible. I think it should work better here anyway. So let's track it forward. So analyze forward. It will analyze it. Perfect. Here at the end, it does have a bit of issue. So I'm gonna reanalyze that. Basically, I'm just gonna change the tracking point a bit, something like this. Search area, I'll make a bit smaller, and let's analyze it forward. I think it should work now. Now, once this is done, we're gonna add it to a null object. So go to layer, new, null object. Then here in our tracker, change the target to our null that we just created. So press OK, then hit apply and press OK. And basically what this now did is it applied all this data to this null object. I'm gonna close this right window off. I'm gonna zoom in and I'm gonna select the null. And I'm just gonna see if it worked properly. And as you can see, it works amazing. And what's cool now is that we can link anything to this. We can even add text to it. For example, text, let's make that font a bit more thick. And there we go. And what we can do now is link this using this pick whip tool to the null object. Now, if we play this, you will see that it will be tracked to the phone, and it's a really cool effect already. So this is also something you can use for basic text tracking. Now we're gonna add our screen recording. So I'm just gonna drag this in. We have our screen recording, and the first thing I'm gonna do is mask it. There's a lot of information on this that I don't want in it, but you can experiment with this, of course. So we're gonna go to the rectangle tool. I'm just gonna drag this out to something like this. I don't want the bottom, I do want the top, maybe something like that. There we go. Now that's cool. Again, I'm gonna link this to our null object and you will see that is now linked to it. That's cool. Now go to the layer, go into toggle switches modes if this is not visible, and then go to screen. And there's some other blending modes that you can try out. Now I'm gonna add a glow to this, which is in the effects and presets panel. You can just add a glow. That will sell the effect a bit better. Of course, we can also increase the glow radius a bit, experiment with this a bit. If you want, you can even add a tint to this and maybe even make it map the white to, for example, red. It will have a really cool effect like this. But of course you don't have to, I'm just showing the options. I'm gonna scale it down, maybe something like this. Then let's move this up a bit or maybe put it here. Let's delete this text that we created. Now I really like this effect, but I do want to add a blur in the background. And I also think the typing goes a bit too slow. Let's fix that first. So right click on the layer, go to time stretch, and let's set this to maybe 50. Let's play this again. That's already better. And now let's add a new adjustment layer. So layer new adjustment layer. Perfect. Now I'm gonna duplicate this layer. I'm gonna move this on top of it. I'm gonna delete the glow and I'm gonna change this blending mode to normal. And by the way, you duplicate by pressing Ctrl D on Windows or Command D on Mac. I'm gonna call this mask. And what I will do is I'm gonna link this mask to our screen recording, and I'm gonna link the adjustment layer also to our screen recording. Then I'm gonna change the track matte to the mask, and I'm gonna call this blur. Now we're gonna go to the effects and presets, and we're gonna add a Gaussian blur to this. Let's increase this by a lot, something like this. And then let's make sure that our screen recording is on top of this. There we go. And as you can see, we have this really cool glass effect, which I really like and will really sell the effect. There's only one more thing I want to do, and that's make it 3D. So you can go into toggle switches, make these two layers 3D, so the screen recording and the mask. Press R for rotation, and let's rotate this a bit. Not too much, but just so there's a bit of 3D effect in this. Of course, you can also keyframe this if you want to. Let's see what this looks like now. This looks really cool. And I might even add a brightness and contrast to our blur adjustment layer. And let's decrease the brightness maybe a bit, or you can also increase it, whatever you prefer. I'm gonna decrease it. I think that's a cool effect. So there's a bit more contrast between the background and the foreground. Let's play this again. Oh, and I really like this effect. And then you get something like this, and you can use any screen recording or any footage for this as long as it has a black background. And if you want to experiment with this footage, the assets are for free in the description down below. Again, do join my masterclass community and let me know what you want to see next. And then thank you for watching. Bye.